Can one dev make a Backrooms game in 24 hours? This is my Backrooms Roblox game. But before I can show you the entire game, we're gonna need to go back 24 hours. So it started off as most bad ideas do. Way too late at night, I was scrolling, not looking for anything specific. Just the usual routine of telling yourself you're gonna go to sleep in 5 minutes and then just not doing it for another 2 hours. And while I was scrolling, I stumbled across the trailer for the new Backrooms movie. And if you haven't watched it, what you guys saw in the intro was a little recreation of what it kind of looks like. But the point is, I watched that trailer and something clicked. Because the Backrooms has always been one of those concepts that should be terrifying. But most Roblox game versions of it are just not terrifying. You basically just walk around and do nothing at all. Yes, there are some decent backroom horror games. So what I'm gonna make today has to be 20 times better. So I set a timer and told myself that I'd sleep when it was all done. That was a lie, but we'll get to that later. So the whole idea for my Backrooms game is pretty simple. 10 players drop into a maze at completely random locations. The Backrooms. They basically just have to complete a bunch of tasks while they try survive in the Backrooms for at least 15 minutes. And if they manage to complete the tasks before the time hits 0, they might have a good chance of actually escaping. But unfortunately, not every player gets to leave the Backrooms. Not every player makes it out. I'll go into more detail on that part later, but for now, I needed a map. My first idea on making a map was pretty reasonable. I generated a maze layout using ChatGPT and started building the corridors manually. At that pace, I would have finished around hour 47, and I was not gonna spend that much time just trying to build a map. So I tried a different approach. I wrote down a command bar script that was going to generate the entire maze automatically. And when I ran it, it actually worked. But here's the problem. With a perfectly generated maze, yes, it looks perfect. Every corridor, the exact same width. Every turn, completely identical. It felt like a math exam and less of a horror game. The Backrooms is supposed to feel wrong, like a space that was never designed for anyone to actually be inside. So I purposefully broke the perfection. I customized the maze to make more custom rooms that felt a little bit weird. The space felt like a maze, but at the same time an empty space. And as you walked around the place, you would see random notes on the wall by people who came before you, people who didn't make it. Getting the right balance between tight corridors and an open space actually took longer than generating the maze itself. If it was too much of a maze, it would stop being scary, and players would just get mad and quit as soon as they can't figure out what to actually do. So the final design was a mix of a maze and an open space that felt a little bit off, which was exactly what I needed. With the map done, I needed to make sure that players actually knew what they were supposed to do to escape the Backrooms. I built the objective UI. Clean and simple. It basically tells you what's left without ever pulling you out the Backrooms atmosphere. Since there's no map for any directions, you kind of know what to do, but you don't really know where anything is. Making the objective UI was very quick and easy, which made me kind of think that the next part would be easy too, but it wasn't. The first actual objective of the entire game, the memory game. All players had to do was watch the screen and be able to repeat the order the shapes appeared on screen. The idea for the game was pretty simple, so I quickly made some UI for it, and making it all work in Roblox would be easy, right? Here's exactly what happened. First, I imported all the frames from Figma into Roblox Studio. Then I created a local script that was going to basically track when I pressed the buttons and in what order, and see if it was the same as how the decals appeared on screen. That wasn't the hard part. The problem came when I tried to make it so the player had to click the panel model to start the task. First time I did it, the click detection was working perfectly. Then without even changing anything, I decided to playtest it again, and it was somehow just broken. So trying to fix that kinda took me forever. And after trying to make it work for literal hours, I somehow got a random idea. What if I just used a proximity prompt? It literally worked immediately. 0 issues, first try, completely fine. The entire problem was gone in 40 seconds. I'm not gonna tell you how long I spent before thinking of that. What I will say is we're moving on and never speaking about that again. After what just happened, I needed something to go right. The next game we're gonna be working on is the pressure wheel game. So there'll be around 10 of these valves distributed around the map. As soon as a player interacts with it, a mini game is gonna pop up. And all they have to do is click, 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 click as the wheel turns. And once it's all done, the task is complete. And just like how we did the other systems, I use a proximity prompt, so when he gets close, he just holds E to interact. And that was basically the wheel game done. For all my technical nerds, I just created a local script in the screen GUI that would listen to the image button as it is clicked to send out a signal, so it updates the C frame of the wheel image label so it looks like the actual wheel is spinning as you click. That also goes for the progress bar and why it goes up every single time a player clicks. Alright, quick one. Because at this point, I've got a working map, working objectives, and working mini games. The game is actually starting to look like an actual game, which means I need one more thing. The stuff that decides whether anyone clicks on it at all or they just decide to scroll past it. Today's video is sponsored by Forge GUI. Forge GUI is an AI design studio built for Roblox developers that creates icons, thumbnails, GFX, UI, and even clothing, all generated from text prompts in seconds. You describe what you want, it builds it, and that's all it takes. I gave Forge a detailed prompt on what I actually wanted, and it generated an icon and a thumbnail for the game right in front of me. That's the icon and that's the thumbnails. And this literally only took 5 minutes in total. If you're building on Roblox and wasting time on visuals that should take minutes, Forge GUI is something you should try. The link will be in the description, and now back to the part that actually stressed me out. From the beginning, I knew this was going to be the system that was going to decide whether the game actually worked or not. Not the map, not the puzzle, this. Most horror games give you a monster with a patrol route. You learn it, you avoid it, and then the game is basically pointless. The fear is gone in an hour because your brain adapts pretty quickly. You stop feeling hunted and start feeling like you're playing a puzzle. I didn't want that. I wanted something that genuinely felt unpredictable, something that couldn't be adapted to because it had no pattern to learn from. So the entity doesn't move towards you, it doesn't follow sounds, it doesn't even pathfind. I had somehow successfully created one of the worst monster AIs in Roblox existence. I don't think this monster could catch or scare a player to save its life. I'll try to fix this later, but this is what we have so far. With everything else running, last but not least, I needed an end game. The moment the whole round is actually building towards. Once the wheel locks are released and all the objectives are complete, keycards are going to start appearing around the maze. If a player gets this keycard, he'll be able to clip directly through the exit. And yes, you guys are wondering, what exit? There was a giant big exit in the maze the entire time, but players couldn't necessarily go through it because they couldn't walk through walls. Except now, they have keycards. But the thing is, not everyone is gonna be able to get a keycard. 10 players spawn into the map, but only 3 keycards spawn in the endgame. You spend majority of the game working as a team. The puzzles require group effort to finish them quickly. The locks need everyone, and the objectives only clear when the whole server contributes. And then right at the end, without any announcement, the game quietly becomes every player for himself. The people that were on your side 60 seconds ago are now your competition. The players who get a keycard escape. The ones who don't stay in the maze, and the entity keeps hunting them down until they're all gone. This part came together cleanly, no major issues, and the barrier worked perfectly. For the first time in a while, something just worked on the first time. The game works, the maze is there, and the objectives are built. Basically, the entire infrastructure is complete, and it's exactly the way I wanted it to be, but it's not finished. This game needs a lot more before it actually goes public. There's more this game should have. More variety, more depth, more reasons to come back for a second round. So until then, I'm gonna keep the game private. So comment down what you guys think I should add to the game, and I'll see you guys in part 2.